Hello guys, welcome to SUpress. So in this series of video, I want to share with you guys some of my reflections, some of my thinking and accumulations in the years of studying psychology. I don't know how long I will do it, I don't know how it would be, but as I think of it now, I want to give it a try and see how it goes. Well, anyway, in today's video, I will share with you guys why I think fat shaming is wrong, and at the same time why fat acceptance movement is also very counterproductive.
Okay, I see how.
So the first thing I would like to say is that overweight and obesity is not healthy and beautiful. There are already many psychological, biological, as well as medical research solidly prove that overweight and obesity, it is not healthy. It is very intimately connected to different diseases, especially chronic ones. For instance, heart attack, cancer, diabetes, stroke, they all drastically increase as you have higher and higher BMI. And in psychological studies, we have found a close relationship between obesity or overweight together with mood disorders such as depression and bipolar. So they are almost all the time comorbid. So when you have one, or especially when you have higher body weight, you are very much more likely to have a major mood disorder, or at least the episode of it. So the underlying reasons for the comorbidity is not still clear, but one thing we know is that it is very much related to chronic low-grade inflammation. So both depression and obesity is essentially a manifestation of a chronic low-grade inflammation. And also in biology, people have found that the fat cells, it is not just the place to store energies. Fat cells serve important endocrine functions as well as immunological functions. So with the dysregulation of the fat cells, with the enlargement of fat cells, essentially it is the dysregulation of entire endocrine system. And as we become obese as well as depressed, our immune system is not functioning as it should be. Or maybe I should say it is because the immune system is impaired, it's not functioning perfectly, and that's the reason leading to depression and obesity. So stress plays a very important part in this, because if we are constantly stressed, and important thing is we might not be even aware of that. We might feel constantly stressed and on guard while we consciously feel nothing. This is very possible, and it's very common amongst people in general. So constant stress reduces the function of immune system, because essentially if you're constantly stressed, you just tire the immune system out. And so with other stresses or with other stimulations or negative stimulations, it's leading to obesity as well as depression. And also the general life satisfaction is greatly reduced when you are obese. You're gonna feel pain everywhere, and I think many of you have this experience. Is because all those joints, all of the joints in your body cannot bear so much weight if you're obese. And also the sexual performance is greatly reduced or even completely diminished, especially for men. When you are morbidly obese, you just cannot perform For women it might be different, but for men it is a big thing if you are fat. So all those different aspects, it's telling us the fact that this is not in any possible way should be regarded as healthy or as beautiful. Well, the attractiveness is different because attractiveness is very much subjective. And I think there are, from a man's point of view, I know there are a good amount of people, or good of a men who are very interested in bigger women. They just have that preference. But even with this special attraction or special preference, we cannot deny the fact that obesity, it is harmful for both your emotion as well as your physical well-being. So in my opinion, or psychologically, the problem with the fat acceptance movement or fat acceptance in general is that it is not pure. It is a very, very counterproductive defense strategy. So the problem is the fat acceptance people or advocates, they are not accepting other people not accepting them. They are not accepting fat acceptance. I don't know if that makes sense. So what they're actually doing is using this moral high ground to morally abduct people so that they will listen to them. They use the moral abduction as a means to exercise their power, their sense of power. Like, if you do not do what I told you, if you do not agree with me, I will morally abduct you and destroy you, or have the social justice warriors destroy you. So essentially, this is a very passive aggressive way, just like social justice warriors or majority of them. This is not pure. This is a form of passive violence. This is a passive form of exercising the power they never seem to have. Just like the famous Jordan Peterson incident, that the student asked him to call him or her or whatever in a specific pronoun. This is nothing pure. This is purely about exercising that sense of power that she never seemed to have before. And by morally abducting Jordan Peterson, I'm very happy and glad that Jordan Peterson didn't give in like many other professors have to this political correctness or social justice. So this is exactly the same. What they are actually doing is by using and standing on emotional as well as moral high ground and forcing other people to behave in a way they want them to behave. And the thing is, if they really have accepted themselves, if they really have accepted their body as they claim they do have, then they would not be so sensitive about that. They would not be projecting that other people are judging them. The only reason they think and they are convinced that other people are judging them is because they internally are judging themselves. It's called projection. It's a very, very common defense mechanisms. So these are the reasons I think the fat acceptance movement in general is flawed and it's wrong. But before you close the video or before you morally judge me to death, hear me out. I am not promoting fat shaming. In fact, I think fat shaming should very much be prohibited and be stopped. The reason for that is current research have shown that the reason people become obese or morbidly obese is that they are very much likely to have gone through severe trauma, especially sexually related trauma when they were young. So the reason to put on weight, to put on fat, and to have a completely dysregulated endocrine system, as we just talked about, is because the impact of the childhood trauma. So when you think of the reason people put on fat or put on body, and especially this is almost equally the same as people who are overly jacked with steroids. The reason they put on all those layers, either muscle or fat, is essentially a self-protecting, it's a self-armoring in the context of bioenergetics. But psychologically, what they are unconsciously doing is to make them not attractive, to make them ugly, so they would not be the target of the next assault. So this is why I say obesity, it is not a physical problem. It's not, of course it's a medical problem, right? It causes all those disorders and diseases. But essentially, the real root of obesity is emotional disorder. Essentially, I think obesity is the result, actually, of, in psychology, what is called binge eating disorder. So, because of the trauma that they have gone through, they start to form a dysregulated and counterproductive connection with food. So essentially, the obesity is a result of binge eating disorder, and the essence of binge eating disorder is food addiction. So the food not only help people, especially obese people, to put on the weight, to put on the fat, to protect themselves as a sense of armor. It also makes them unattractive, as we just talked about, but most importantly, it's a comfort. They are seeking and getting, they do, a lot of emotional comfort from eating, from this behavior. It's a behavioral addiction. It is just as bad as, say, cocaine, heroin, or any other drug addiction. So essentially, when people trying to lose their weight, it is exactly the same as going through a withdrawal. So think about all those documentaries or whatever YouTube videos you see, how those heroin addicts, how they withdraw. It is equally as painful for obese people to lose weight, to go through withdrawal from dysregulated eating. And in this process, not only they have to overcome all those emotions they stored in the fat cells, that enlarged fat cells, not only they have to re-regulate their entire endocrine system. Most important thing is that they have to go through and process those emotional trauma. And many times, even if the person can physically, through fasting, lose a lot of weight, if the emotional part is not resolved, they will get back to that heavy weight very, very quickly when there's any potential threat or stress happen to them, especially related to sexual attraction and all that. So physically, it is very much doable. There are many different ways to do that, like fasting and exercising, all those methods. But the fundamental thing of any addiction, not just eating, any addiction is the rewiring the emotional response to the threats. So this is why I think we should not fat shaming them. We should help them, because you or me, we do not understand, probably not even 1 in 100, what they might have gone through, all those traumas they have bared through, all those traumas that stored and imprinted in their body, we do not understand them. So it's easy to say, oh, you're fat, you're blah, 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 and you're unattractive and all that, or smell bad, you sweat a lot. But think about what addictions you have, and think about how weak you are in facing those addictions, whether it's gaming, masturbation, pornography, cocaine, whatever. All those addictions are the same. They reflect deep emotional unresolved trauma. And also, it is not a metabolic problem.
That's the type of thing that I've sort of put in my own mind.
You do not have a metabolic problem with your body. You just have a dysregulated relationship with your food.
I'm not disciplined in what I eat at all. So if I have a feeling for something, I have to have what I want. I do love cream cakes. So in a way, it comes back down to metabolism to me.
Comes back down to metabolism to me.
How dare you!
So essentially what I'm trying to say is that, firstly, fat shaming is wrong. Fat shaming is not a good thing, because we, as normal people, we did not have gone through the traumas that they have gone through. And even if we have gone through that, probably we're in a much worse places as they have. But at the same time, promoting fat acceptance if you are the obese individual, it is very, very negative and counterproductive. Traumas are shit. And I'm very, very sorry that those things happened to you, whatever you had to go through. But keep hiding and keep distorting the reality is not the way to go. Only when we face those unbearable memories, only when we take active steps to resolve those pains and traumas, we will start to feel better. And only then we will have a better life satisfaction, and only then we will have a better acceptance of ourselves, and only then we will not need to apply those mental shenanigans to force other people accept you.
Thank you.